Do not buy anyone that has bruises on it, but there are bug holes. If bug can eat it, you can eat it too. Who doesn't like asparagus? And when you're picking them, pay attention to the bottom. If they're like really yellow or dried out, don't get them. And then also you can feel the firmness of the asparagus, and that's how you can know if it's fresh or not. How can you have a Christmas dinner without potato? You can choose the roasted potato, which usually the cheapest, or you can choose Yukon or gold potatoes. These like have really nice smooth skin. These are much easier to cook if you don't have a pressure cooker. It's much easier if you just buy this kind of broccoli crown so that you save all the bottom. It's a little bit more expensive, but I don't think you're going to be eating the stems anyway, so it's just much easier. But we're going to buy milk right now because, you know, we like everything creamy. We always use whole milk, you know, it's not gonna be that big of a deal because whole milk is only 3.8% the most for fat. You either drink 1% or 2%. Really, is that gonna make that big of a difference? No, but for the taste, yes. I really love dried herbs. They're so easy and they never go bad. Well, this one you can just easily twist it off and make it refillable. I know you can't be environmental friendly all the time, but we try. You know, the fresh section of the poultry for all of those chickens, they froze it first, and then when they are going to sell you, they usually unthaw it. So as soon as you get it and then you go home, you have to cook it right away. But most people don't. Most people refreeze it again and then cook it after. It tastes terrible. But these ones, they come frozen. They are actually much fresher than those. But the only thing I don't like about them is that they soak it, or they injected it, chicken broth into it, so it's kind of salty. So you have to be paying attention to the sodium level. Otherwise, it's gonna come out super salty. Don't ask me how I know it because somebody did that to me. Terrible. I think we're all set. Actually, I really love using these grocery stores because just imagining myself being buried in plastic bags and suffocating those ocean animals in plastic bags, that's just horrible, you know. And I love to have great fish to eat continuously. I know this is probably not very much, but if you save, let's say 100 plastic bags a year, that's a lot. Hello everyone, welcome to What's for Dinner. This is Plena. Today is our Christmas special. I didn't grow up with Christmas, but when I came to the States, I just fell in love with it. It's truly the happiest season of all. And I'm going to be showing you today the appetizers and entrees that I'm going to make. It's a combination of Chinese and American style because our family is kind of a mix. It's hard to just have a roasted chicken right in the middle or ham with mac and cheese with gravy or mashed potato because, you know, some people like only eat dark meat, some people only eat white meat, and have a whole chicken there. It just, something is lacking. But let's get to it. Let's look at the ingredients because the meat has to be marinated first, so let's do the meats first. So first of all, I put in the frozen chicken wings for the dark meat eater. I'm just adding the soy sauce. Do you notice that I'm reusing the plastic bag that I used to bunch up those Brussels sprouts? So use them and reuse them is also another way of preserving the environment. Okay, I think that's enough soy sauce. I can handle a lot of spice, but my family can't, so I'll just add it a little bit just to give it a little bit more color. I'm gonna make it kind of like a sweet, a little bit spicy. Generous amount of onion will only help you further down the road to give it more complexity to the flavor. And then this is the traditional Chinese 5 spice. It's just the 5 commonly found one that you can get at the grocery store. It doesn't matter which brand. It works. I'm putting in a little of sake right now just to get rid of that meaty, gamey smell. Let's bunch it up. Kind of just mix it in the bag a little bit, but with without tearing the bag because this bag is really thin. What I would do if you don't have a vacuum seal but you want the flavor to get in more tightly to the meat, this is just a bowl of water with vegetable that I'm washing. I'll usually sunk it in and then push it down so that all the pressure from the water is gonna push out all the air in the bag. You get a semi-vacuum seal for the flavor to get in a little bit better. Let's tie it up. So for the white meat eater, well, because we just bought this lean chicken breast, I'm just gonna put it in a bowl to unthaw, and later we're going to make white sauce pasta for it. So let's wash the vegetables. If you are a cleaning freak, maybe put in some salt and baking soda to help. Most of these asparagus are okay, but some of them are kind of old. You just have to chop off the bottom or just use your hand to see if it's kind of hard. Here's my all-time favorite, cooking spray. Just spray it down a little bit. And then I'm gonna put all of the asparagus drained onto the baking sheet. Kind of rearrange them a little bit. Cooking spray, another one. Choo. So much easier than brushing the oil on. This is our menu, refill peppermint. I'm excited to try it out. I like to do fine, but it's all up to you. We'll sprinkle on the salt to give it a little bit more flavor. And I have already preheated the oven to 400 degrees. Let's put it in there. So after it's cooked, to make room for other things in the oven, you can always just move it onto it. I'll usually save it in the microwave. I feel like it keeps it hot. To reduce the cooking time, I usually like to cut the Brussels sprouts in half. Pay attention to the stem. If it's kind of like a yellowy or too long, it might be bitter. Pay attention and chop off as you need it. I really like Brussels sprouts where, you know, when you roast it, it's pretty sweet, but at the same time it has, you know, the natural bitterness that comes with any cabbage. So it has a good balance of bitterness and sweetness. That's just perfect. Pay attention not to cut your fingers because this is kind of hard to chop. Okay, let's move into seasoning them. First of all, I'm actually gonna pop it in the microwave for about 5 minutes so that it cooks down a little bit faster, and then I'll put it in the oven. For your safety, please make sure that the container you're using is microwave and oven safe. I usually just put a lid on it. This one I got from IKEA for like $1.50. It kind of has a steaming effect and also to prevent splatter. So for the Brussels sprouts, I just took it out of the microwave and let's get it roasted. Just sprinkle on the salt and pepper a little bit. That's actually gonna bring out the natural sweetness of Brussels sprouts. Let's pop it in the oven. Potato that I already have, and here's some gold potatoes. We are gonna wash them now. Russet potato, the texture is a little bit more powdery compared to this. This is a little tighter. I'm just going to make these two so it has potatoes creaminess, but also it will still have that heavy mouthful kind of texture after it's cooked. So I'll using the scorching pad, like the tough side, to just wash it out. Whatever dirt or wax they put on it, or some sort of coating to prevent it from sprouting. But for this one, I do have to peel off the skin. For this one, I'm just gonna leave it. Let's just try to cut it into slightly smaller pieces. I like to keep it a bigger chunk so it wouldn't turn into a mush. This one, it's originally smaller, so I'm just gonna do big chunks. I'm using my pressure cooker today, my Instant Pot. For whoever has never used it before, it's a lifesaver, trust me. Let's put in some salt. One is to give it more flavor, and also the salt is gonna help it cook down a little bit faster than without the salt. Because it's a pressure cooker, the water doesn't really evaporate, so we'll just add maybe like a third covering the potatoes. Make sure that you have it in the sealing position, otherwise the pressure cannot build up. I'm going to use manual and just do high pressure and 5 minutes. If you don't have a pressure cooker at home, you're welcome to steam it or boil it. The time will depending on how big of a chunk you're chopping and how much potato you're making. It will take anywhere between 15, 20, all the way up to like 40 minutes. It really depends on the amount of potatoes you're cooking. You have to put it on high heat boiling. While the meats are marinating and the vegetables are cooking, let's prepare the ingredients for the pasta. I haven't bought a goggle yet, but I felt like I needed some sort of protection because last time it was horrible, if any of you still remember. So you can cut the top off, but remember not to cut this part off because that's what's gonna help hold it together while you dice the onion. For the top layer, you can peel this dried layer off. Remember to wash your onion before you do anything. For the top layer, there are some pieces that might not have been chopped so fine. Just double check your work before you're cooking it. This is gonna save you some time later on. I think the sunglasses worked. It didn't make my eyes bawling. Broccoli I've already washed and drained it. Now, because it's for pasta and also for the potato casserole, we'll have to knead it to be cut into smaller pieces. You don't have to waste the stem if you don't want. You can always just chop it into smaller pieces. What I did over there off the camera, forgot to record it, is that I peeled off the harder skin on the outside, and for some of it you can still salvage the stem and just eat it. If you have vegetarian in the family, you can always just sub the chicken breast I'm going to use for this pasta recipe. You can always sub it with tofu or just mushroom and broccoli. That will also taste lovely. It's the flu season again, and I'm guessing you don't want to be sick for the holidays, so please take care of yourself. Dress warm enough, layer up. The pressure cooker has been released. Now look at our potatoes. We can easily just chop it down, so that means the potatoes are ready. I have heard once before in Chinese medicine that potato can actually help your legs look more beautiful. I don't know what kind of beautiful, but they said that. Right now, while they're still hot, you can choose to remove the skin. Usually while they are hot, they come right off. But you can also just leave them on. There's a little bit of a difference in the texture, but not that big of a difference. I actually like eating the skin by itself. So we have it in the bowl. I'm just gonna use the spoon to kind of mash it a little bit. You can see the russet potato smashed right away, but the golden potato, it still takes a little bit of time to break into a smaller chunk. This is what I'm gonna leave it at because this is the kind of texture that I like, but it's all up to you. You can also choose to blend it. You can pick whatever cheese of your choice that you like for this recipe. You can use cheddar, you can use Parmesan, it's all up to you. Let's grease the pan first. You need to scoop all the potatoes into the grease pan. Let's put in a quarter stick of butter. And then you're supposed to use sour cream, but I forgot to buy some. So I'm gonna use the homemade yogurt that I had laying around. Homemade yogurt is so much better. We have already salted the potato while we were boiling it. I think it had enough salt while I was trying out the potato skin. It's all up to you if you want some extra seasoning in there. A little bit more of my favorite dried onion. A little bit of the broccoli that we had washed and chopped. You will want to pat it down a little bit, just a little bit, not to make it compact, but make it even. I layer on top of the potato with some cheese, and then I'm just scooping out this mixture on top of it. I don't think that's enough yogurt, so I'm gonna take more. I used up 2 cups of yogurt. You can just use the normal recipe, use the sour cream. After you have topped it with sour cream and the butter mixture with the broccoli, you can layer on top of it another layers of cheese. Isn't that super easy? Now we can pop it in the oven at the same 400 degrees. Let's take out the Brussels sprouts first. Put it in the middle rack and close it. Look at that, beautiful. If you have some fried onions, you can put it on top. I'm just gonna use the dried onion because that's just what I have as a garnish. And then to add a little bit of color to the Brussels sprouts, I'll use a few strands of very thinly sliced chili pepper. So we're just gonna follow how the meat grows to cut it off. With chicken, this is the easiest way to cut it. And we will want to cut it into strips. I'm just gonna use the Instant Pot that I used to cook the potato, and I just added additional water because I'm kind of in a rush to make this dinner. I added additional water, and then it already has salt in it to prevent the pasta from sticking to each other. So I'm just gonna leave it, and I put it on saute and high heat to bring it to a boil. As soon as it's boiling, let's put in the noodle. Let's heat up the wok first, or you can use a pan. I'm gonna add in some olive oil, actually quite a bit, because we're going to fry the onions. Snack around while you're cooking is the best. You can see that it started to bubble with the onion that I put in to test the temperature of the oil. Now we can drop in the rest of the onion. So I like to add in additional garlic for more flavor. When you bring the water to a rolling boil, you can drop in your pasta. You have to drop your pasta directly into the sauce that you just made while it's hot so that it absorbs the flavor. So you want to have the sauce be absolutely ready when the pasta is done cooking. And how to cook the pasta, you just look at whatever pasta on the back of the cover, follow the instructions, and then you will have the best result. You can see that the edges of the onions are kind of round and the onion itself is translucent, so we can put in the chicken now. And you will want to leave that at medium-high heat. You can actually poach the chicken with olive oil and the onion that you just cooked if you're not in a rush. And you will want to do it at medium-low to low heat. I'll put a lid on it so that it keeps the steam in there for a little bit so it cooks more evenly on the top as well. You will want to pay attention to your pasta here and there just to give it a stir so that it doesn't stick to each other. The potato casserole only generally takes 15 to 20 minutes. After that, you can see that it's sizzling. You can change that to broil so that the top has a nice golden finish. Put the broccoli in when the chicken is almost done, as well as your noodle and the sauce. The sauce is not completed yet. We're gonna have to add a few more ingredients before putting in the noodle, but it's almost ready, so I put in the broccoli. Oh, you can put in the pesto. You can either make some or just buy a store. Doesn't make that big of a difference. I'm just using the homemade one I have laying around. You don't want to overcook the pesto because the color turns kind of ugly. Just maybe 30 seconds. And then now we're ready to put in our pasta. So you want to mix in really quickly so that the noodle soaks in all the sauce. Now we can put in the cheese. Potato casserole is also ready. Now we're preparing the dish for baking the chicken wings. Let's take out the chicken wings. Rearrange it a little bit to make sure it's cooking evenly. Okay, let's pop it in the oven for 400 degrees Fahrenheit first. And that's 200 Celsius. You want to mix 1 part of honey with 0.8 part of water so that it's mostly honey but there's some water to it, and then we're going to brush up this water honey mixture onto the chicken wing to give it more flavor, a little bit of sweetness, but most importantly some color, a beautiful color. After the chicken has been baking for 10 minutes, you can start brushing on this mixture, and we'll do it a few times, so we'll layer it to make sure that it stays on the chicken. You can smell the caramelized honey. Look at this one is already orange-ish. We have already brushed 5 to 6 layers. You just want to brush on maybe 1 to 2 minutes each until you used up all of your syrup. And as soon as you use it up, usually your wing will be ready. And this just gives it a really beautiful orange color. And also the honey in it makes the chicken wing just taste so much better. Rest it for 2 minutes so that the juice will stay in instead of leaking out. And because of the size of the chicken wing, it kind of varies if it's done or not. You can always just poke like a fork or something through. If it easily pierces through, that means it's done. Or if there's no blood leaking out, then definitely done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you to coordinate a more Western but also Asian fusion type of Christmas dinner for the loved ones. In the next Christmas special, we're going to show you some special Christmas drinks and dessert, so watch out for that. If you like our video, please feel free to share, like, and subscribe. Your support is much appreciated. If you find our recipes helpful and you have made one inspired by us, please use the hashtag to let us know on Instagram as well as Weibo. We'll see you next time. Bye!